The 30th of October 2017, Max Verstappen breezed to victory after an audacious opening lap move on Sebastian Vettel, as a delayed Lewis Hamilton clinched the title. JeepUpdate.net presents its Mexican GP winners and losers. Winners. A frustrating proportion of Max Verstappen's campaign has been spent dealing with setbacks, the majority caused by a lack of reliability, and one podium from the opening 14 events was a statistic that belied the improvements he had made. Verstappen kept his head down, soaked up the knowledge he could learn, and has emerged as a more rounded racer. Verstappen's opening lap maneuver on Vettel was indicative of a driver supremely confident in his own talent, as he executed an inch-perfect pass around the outside of turn 1. Simply lovely, he purred, before gradually pulling away from Mercedes' Valtteri Bottas. The rest of the race was merely an exhibition for Verstappen to display his talents in a much-improved Red Bull, which was powered by one of the few functioning Renault power units. Barely stifling a laugh at his inability to back off could not have contrasted greater than the frustration of a few months ago. Lewis Hamilton's 9th-place finish was his worst result since his fiery exit in Malaysia last year, but it mattered little as he leapt around the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez to celebrate his 4th world title. Hamilton's race was undone by the rewrite puncture he received when Sebastian Vettel made contact. Deliberate no, clumsy yes. Once again, Vettel became flustered and a split-second decision left him as the architect of his own demise. Add Mexico to Azerbaijan and Singapore. Hamilton was in cruise mode for much of the race, backing off early in 2 corners, as Mercedes' problems in traffic, a theme for several years, was again highlighted. It was perhaps fitting that Hamilton sealed his crown via an applause-worthy ding-dong against Fernando Alonso, and the post-race eruption indicated that the race result was irrelevant. Hamilton is a worthy 2017 champion, and he is not done yet. On his 19th birthday, Lance Stroll put in another effective drive, one which vaulted him ahead of Williams teammate Felipe Massa in the standings for the first time. Stroll avoided the drama which befell others through the opening laps and held a solid place in the top 10, with his prospects aided by pitting behind the virtual safety car, enabling him to jump Sergio Perez. Stroll was helpless to prevent Sebastian Vettel from steaming through, and was not quite able to close in on another standout performer, Esteban Ocon, but this was a mature run. Stroll's season has been, to an extent, a case of feast or famine, but when the Canadian hooks it up he is contender among the midfield. With the full year under his belt, Stroll will surely be a more rounded, consistent challenger in 2018. The flashes have certainly been evident. Losers. For the victor, the spoils; for the loser, a second-hand turbo. While one Red Bull driver climbed atop the podium, the other skulked away to lament a fundamental problem with Renault's power units. Daniel Ricciardo's weekend started in promising fashion as he topped Friday's closely fought second practice session, but he drifted away, his qualifying prospects hampered by a baffling inability to warm his tires correctly. Red Bull took the hit and installed new engine elements, and Ricciardo typically surged up the order during the opening laps, his hopes raised by the drama further up the grid. However, the engine spluttered, and he cruised back into the pits, understandably frustrated by another reliability setback. But had Ricciardo stuck it on pole, Red Bull would surely have stuck with the original power unit, and hoped that it would last. Verstappen's did, however. Only Verstappen, and Pierre Gasly, reached the checkered flag out of Renault's stable, on a weekend in which the manufacturer stole the engine limelight from Honda. Aside from the problems facing its customers, this was also a dismal result for the factory team, as a double Q3 appearance was converted into a double DNF. Nico Hülkenberg and Carlos Sainz Jr. gave Renault its best overall on-lap display for several years, and Hülkenberg ran strongly in 4th, until the ears packed in. Sainz Jr., meanwhile, reported a strange feeling with his RS17 and spun through the S's, bizarrely not captured by TV cameras, and duly poodled around at the back. Renault's performance has improved, but its reliability, 4 years into this era, remains a weakness. Next year it will power 6 cars for 3 teams with lofty ambitions. It will be a tall order. Riding the Toro Rosso merry-go-round in Mexico were Gasly and Brendan Hartley, though the former barely got a go in the STR12 until the race. Having sat out FP1 for Sean Gelil, Gasly suffered a power unit issue in FP2, and another one in FP3, with the delay meaning he could not qualify. As a consequence, battling among the lower midfield order in race trim, and coming home 13th, was a fine effort in the circumstances. Gasly was running a few seconds behind Hartley when the New Zealander's engine cried its last, forcing him to park his car where he had done 24 hours beforehand. He was probably on first-name terms with the Turn 6 marshals by Sunday evening. With just 1 point in 4 races, ironically collected by its dropped driver, Toro Rosso's hopes of 5th have been extinguished, and it could yet slip to 8th.